Shalom and hello to David Zaikin. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me here, Zvika.
Happily. So you are the CEO and the founder of the Key Elements group. You're based in London,
Yes.
and I would say a true friend of Israel. And we are here today to speak actually about this research that your company did on the Israeli economy, and you actually compared between 9/11 in the US and in 2001 to October 7th in Israel in 2023. So I mean, obviously there's both dramatic terrorist attacks that shook up a country and reassessed many narratives. But how does this have how does it perceive in the economy world?
Look, Zvika, we all remember the tragic and most vicious attack on US soil, September 11th. And this first came to my mind as soon as I heard about October 7th. What happened to United States economy is actually quite similar with what we see in Israel. US economy dramatically shrank as soon as the September 11th attack happened. They've lost close to $2 trillion, and they also economy lost around 600,000 working spaces. So unemployment shot up.
Mm-hmm.
And when we looked at all the data, we also knew that US economy was doing quite well before that. And then we looked at how US economy recovered post the shock. And now when we look at the terrorist attack on the largest terrorist attack on Israeli soil since probably Holocaust. This is what comes to our mind.
It's the largest attack against Jews since the Holocaust.
The
definitely,
largest attack against Jews. So we quickly pulled data together, and what we saw is that obviously Israeli economy was doing quite well for more than one reason. And what we saw aftermath of terrorist attack is that obviously immediate impact on tourism, agriculture, construction. On annualized basis, Israeli economy from October, November, December GDP lost over 5%, which is on annualized basis is around 20%, which is huge shock to the economy. However, what we've seen after that was quite interesting. The economy, what is the difference between economy of Israel and many other emerging economies in the region and outside of the region? Israeli economy built on human capital, the long-term investment which Israel did since the establishment in 1948 is invest in its people. That's why the Israeli economy turned out to be quite resilient. It's not an economy based on natural resources, because we've seen those mighty countries, their economy performing incredibly well, and then there is a shock to oil prices or gold prices, and the economy going back and shrinking dramatically. So what we see now in Israel, that Israeli economy is quite resilient, and the immediate shock, immediate impact now was well absorbed, and what we see now is significant demand. And we saw Bloomberg report that Israel did issue bonds for $8 billion, and the total demand was around $34 billion.
I was going to actually ask if you could give me a bit more, examples from your research about.
So what else was interesting for us is that obviously we know that Israel is one of the largest center of innovations outside of Silicon Valley. So it's Silicon Valley outside of Silicon Valley. And when we look at current trends in artificial intelligence field, we know in 2022, global companies invested over $48 billion. In 2023, investment, and this is trackable investment. We don't know how much was invested off the books by superpowers. but trackable investment $50 billion in 2023. So we feel that as soon as the situation stabilizes in Israel, the global companies will come back. And as we know, Israel is one of the pioneers in artificial intelligence. So we see significant interest from the institutions we are advising to understand better what other innovations coming from Israel, and they're eager to invest. So we're definitely quite optimistic based on this research that the Israeli economy will bounce back. And now we understand that also the next big investment round will be in a very new area, which is not new to Israel. It's quantum computing, quantum computers. So,
for those who don't know exactly what this world of quantum computers are, can you give an example?
Very, very fast computers, which can, while those computers could be helpful, as all innovations, this could be helpful for the humankind, but also could be quite dangerous. Mm-hmm. And the danger from, the help obviously is cracking all the codes we couldn't crack before. You know, it could be used in healthcare, it could be used in other innovative industries. But the significant danger coming from countries who are developing quantum computing, like, for example, China. I remember reading statement by Christopher Wray, the director of Federal Bureau of Investigation. And he said that China had, and this is quote, a bigger hacking program than every other major nation combined. This is September 2023. And the encryption guarding digital communication, based on latest research, could someday be cracked by quantum computers. So no longer any communication between military, between high-tech executives. So all area of important communication will no longer be sort of protected.
An interesting thing I see in your report was the mention of the Houthi blockades of the Red Sea, and basically saying that this has a direct negative effect on the global economy, right? Just as much as the Israeli economy. So basically, it's not just Israel suffering from this, but actually the international community. And therefore, I if I understand correctly, kind of, so Israel's economy won't be the only one being suffered, and then it could possibly bounce back.
We are all affected, but we are quite optimistic that coalition will be able to, first of all, to make sure that terrorism is no longer profitable, and I'm sure they'll be able to send Houthis back. And as soon as it happens, not only Israeli economy, but global transportation will become much more sustainable, and there will be less disruption.
Okay, so can you give me more examples of how, according to your prediction and your research, the Israeli economy will recover after October 7th, and in the next few months?
So we've noticed that there is a trend, and this is exactly what happened with the United States economy post 9/11. As soon as the first shock disappeared, as soon as people recognized that the event had significant impact on their economy, everybody, so US government immediately acted. Same way Israeli government invested, their investment increased by 88% in the Israeli economy, mostly in areas which were affected. So as soon as if we build a parallel, as soon as the shock is gone, investors understand that, so even Moody reaction, when they downgraded Israel rating were obviously due to two factors: terrorist attack and political situation in Israel. And as soon as the investment community and as soon as the rest of the world recognized that Israel has significant capabilities to deal with that, economy came back. And what we will see in 2025, a few sources will look that they are predicting GDP will grow around 5.5%. And let's remember that we see this type of growth in other countries, but they're not as developed as Israel. For developed economy to grow at 5.5% rate, this is quite significant.
Right. Now, again, for those who don't understand exactly the depth of the economic world, so Israel sold, $8 billion of bonds in return to global markets, according to Bloomberg. What does that mean, for the Israeli economy, and how does that affect it?
I think there are two factors to look at it. First of all, the sign of confidence that $8 billion being invested in Israel economy, and also their other number, which is quite important. The total interest was around $34 billion. So this is a significant amount for any economy, but for the economy which is requiring post-shock, post-major terrorist attack, this is quite optimistic, and it's a good signal that the global investment community is back and they're looking at Israel. So with all the challenges we're going through, as I mentioned earlier, the most important asset Israel has is human resources. A lot of people who are creative, educated, and there is also ecosystem which allows them to use their knowledge to test it quite quickly, because what we are suffering when we're in other countries which are also advanced, the way to the market is quite long. For example, somebody come with brilliant idea, they need to build sort of the testing model, then they need to test, etc. Israel broke all the rules. We've seen innovation in healthcare, which are coming immediately into testing, making it safe, and then very quickly, as soon as the investment community understand that this is important potential medication, it's being tested, make sure it's safest, and it's being offered to people almost immediately. Obviously in a safe and smart way. And same goes with cybersecurity. Same goes with all the development we've seen in Israel in the last 10, 15 years, where Israel became one of the leading force in cybersecurity. Israel also, we looked at the interesting statistic, Israel has the highest per capita based per person for number of $1 billion companies created, which is massive.
On that, positive note, I would like to thank you, David, for your time and for your investment in helping Israel during this time. You advise different companies in different countries around the world, as well as political leaders. So we definitely need all the support we can get, and I really appreciate that. And let's hope that all these predictions actually come true. And have that positive effect on the state of Israel.
Absolutely, Zvika. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.